How y'all doing today? This is our Friendly Advice Inner Circle. This is a podcast where it's a safe space. We can be vulnerable. We talk about emotional intelligence, mental health. We got the co-hosts.
Coach Rail, how y'all doing? I'm gonna explain to the guests how the show works. We will generate and ask questions. Anything that you don't feel that you want to answer, you just pass. But to come back to it, I will figure out a way to get that question answered in a different format. So there's really no skips. So we want you to be as vulnerable as possible. And at the end, if you have any questions for us, we'd be willing to answer them. But for the bulk of it, the majority is on you. Please remember your questions because we don't have that much time.
OFA presents The Inner Circle.
And away we go!
Starring Coach Ant and Coach Rel.
So let's get started. First, y'all can introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Kaylisha.
Hi, I'm Zandy.
All right. And where y'all from?
From Willingboro, New Jersey.
And I'm from Philadelphia.
Okay. Well, then let's start with Willingboro, right? We'll start with Kay. So, question: what type of environment did you grow up in?
I grew up in Willingboro, like I said. I had a 2-parent household. My dad raised me and my stepmom. I have 5 siblings in my house.
You the oldest?
No, I'm the second oldest.
Second oldest.
I have one older brother.
That's it.
Anything else?
Look, that's it.
Okay.
Just give us a little bit of background. That's it. Go ahead, Zan.
I'm from Philly, and I was raised by my great grandmom in a house with my dad and a few of his cousins.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you whoever wants to answer first, how do you feel your environment shaped you, your perspective? How do you feel your environment shaped your perspective?
I do feel like, being raised by my dad, having my dad do everything for me, doing everything for my mom, like seeing that, I do think that that did shape me, into wanting that, into, desiring to have that. A big family. I don't want a big family. I think because I had a big family, so I do want a small family. But definitely, the 2-parent household dynamic, I think, is what I want. I do think that having that shaped me.
Was it a
to want
healthy
that.
dynamic?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're still together. It's like 25 years.
Okay, let's give a little hand clap for that. 25. All right.
Yeah, and I knew my biological mom. I know my biological mom, but she just didn't raise me. So I also think that that shaped who I am, and the way I also handle relationships and things.
Zan?
I think growing up with my great grandmother and my father shaped me in a way where very young I was extremely mature. I mean, I was getting raised by like a 70-year-old. And then having my father, I think it made me understand that there's certain expectations that I'm supposed to have because I have my father, the same as, what's your name?
Okay.
As Kay. Not having my mom raise me, I think that shaped some of my relationships where I had to learn how to respect women.
Okay, so we got something here, right? Your father wasn't in your life, right? My father wasn't in mine. Mother, kind of y'all cool, but y'all ain't.
I'm
all
great
that.
with my mom now.
Mom, y'all cool, but your mom ain't really raised you like that.
No.
So let's speak about that from like a daughter to mother dynamic. Like, what was there any voids in your life where you was like, man, I wish I was closer with my mom, or why did my mom leave me, or why I'm not as close with my mom? Do you ever think about that?
No, I never did when I was younger. I never did. If I can be frank, I never felt the lack. I know there was a lack, but I never felt it. So no.
Okay, what about you?
It's crazy because I don't think that I really felt it, but I think that because I just wanted my mother Like, like I did act out. But my stepmom raised me since I was 2. So like that's the only mom I know. She like we're really close. But I do also think that I don't have the best female relationships because of the relationship that I have with my mom.
Mm.
I think that it's easy for me to like hang with females but not really have them too close because that's how I play my mom. Like even to this day, she's like, we're cool, but not too much. So I
Okay.
do think that did shape my relationships, definitely.
What does that look like? You said that I'm assuming that you don't get along with females too well in certain capacity. What reasons? What sparks that? Like what is it that goes on?
I feel like it's maybe just a distrust. I don't know. I don't know. I do feel like it's weird because I have good relationships with females. I just don't let them get too close to me. Like,
Mhm.
because I have had females, like turn on me, stuff like that. So I just don't, you're just not getting that close to me. But I have friends, I go out with my friends, I hang with them, I talk to them all the time, but they would tell you that they don't really know me. Like, they don't really, I don't really let them in.
Question for both of you. What is if you first part of the question is has a female turned on you, and if so, what does that look like, and what did she do?
Yes. And I'm going to talk about it, and it's no hard feelings. I had a best friend since 10th grade, and we went to college together. We were roommates. This is my daughter's godmom, and it's all love. And I'm her son's goddad. And a year, 2 years ago, we stopped being friends over her wedding because I refused to pay a big amount of money to go to a destination wedding. And I felt that was a slap in the face because I am a wonderful single mom that puts all my money into high quality things for my daughter because I'm raising an amazing child. So I sacrificed my friendship to keep my daughter in the school that she's in, the curricular activities, versus paying $6,000 for a vacation. And it ended our like 15-year friendship.
Mm.
So yeah.
Mm.
And I don't care. It's like, no. But yeah.
She cares.
Yeah. It just bothered me, but it just shows you how quick things can change. So yeah.
And what about you? Has you ever had a friend that turned on you, or
But she
Yeah.
has a specific one because
yeah, she
a
just don't
twinkle in her
Because
yeah,
eye
it's
came
like,
yeah,
out.
she's trying to figure out how to word it.
It's so crazy. Okay, so
I think I know too.
I had a friend that I was close to for a couple years. When I was pregnant, she like started this rumor that my baby dad wasn't my baby dad, basically. Like that I didn't know who my baby dad was.
Oh, that's hating.
All of that. Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Did she like him?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, she could have had him like
He for the streets?
yes.
Okay.
I feel like what happened? So, yeah, she was just telling people that I didn't know who my baby dad was. She was at my gender reveal, at my baby shower, and I didn't find out until I had my son. And then, people brought it to me, and I'm like, what? Like, so confused. But yeah, we stopped being friends because of that.
Mm. So like, okay. So like in school, right? They'll tell you like you start with an A and then based on your grades you work your way down. Is that how y'all trust? Do y'all trust like at an A and people kind of work their way down, or how do you trust? Like what do your trusting scale look like as far as women? Let's just stick to the women right now and then we can talk about the men later. But right now as far as the women because of y'all experiences.
I feel like, do I trust? I don't know. Maybe you start at a like I'm gonna trust you, and then you work your way down, I guess.
Okay. So you come in with trust.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty optimistic. Like I'm gonna trust you from the gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I come in with kindness, but I do not trust people until they show me that they can be trustworthy.
Mm.
They don't know that I don't trust them, though.
What is your definition of trust?
That's a good question. My definition of trust is being able to trust that like you are who you say you are. If that makes sense, like you're not erratic, you're not going to be someone different tomorrow. You're not going to make this choice and then confuse me because now you're making different choices. I like leveled people that are pretty predictable in my life. Like you can do surprising things, but if it's amazing, it's not that surprising because you're an amazing person. I don't like erratic behavior.
Okay, that's a good way to look
That's
at
a good
it.
way to put it.
Yeah.
So for me, like how I trust is I allow people to set verbal expectations for themselves. And if your verbal expectation is not being met by action, then I don't trust nothing that you're talking about.
That's a good.
So if you come in, I let you explain who you are. I give you the the red carpet. Who are you? You tell me who you are, and then we kind of go from there. And the reason why I fell out with a lot of people, not a lot, but some, is because they set a verbal expectation that their actions did not meet, and I just held them to it. You know what I mean? What about you? What's your trust level look like?
I don't have a trust level.
Like zero?
I don't trust. Yeah, I don't. I was just having this conversation on my job. I have standards, and I don't accept or expect expectations. I don't set them on people. So, for instance, if we were friends and I did something for you and I needed you to come through, and you didn't, I'm not looking at you sideways. I'm just gonna look at there was something going on in your life that was more important than I was. And I don't really have an acceptance of what I need you to come through. It's if you come through, great. If you don't, you don't. I think from an early age, I had that. I think my mother started that expectation for me. Like I had an expectations of what mothers are supposed to do from a little kid. And especially she would say things like, I'll see you soon, I'll come back. She lived in England. So she would visit periodically. She would miss birthdays and Christmases, and it just got to a point where I just realized people are gonna say things, and it doesn't even mean that she had ill intentions behind it. She could have, or she could have just more important things could have came up. Maybe she had found a man out there that was more relevant than I was because she didn't build that bond. I don't know what that is, but for me personally, I'm not gonna look at you and then say, you know what, I'm gonna hold you to something, or I'm gonna scorn other people. It is what it is. So for me, I don't have a trust level, and I always break it down to like a relationship. So, and you can answer this if you want to, or it could be a rhetorical question. If we were in a 15-year relationship and I was faithful to you for all 15 years, and I cheated, does your behavior towards me change, or do you
Yes.
keep it the same?
It's a good question.
So then the aspects of trust mean nothing because the equity that was poured in that cup was 15 years of faithfulness.
You didn't let me
You
answer.
just
Oh, good.
shattered the whole
But
cup.
I was gonna say, depending on if you're genuinely sorry, I would forgive you and we could move forward because as humans we make mistakes.
But
So
would your outlook on me change? Like, would you look at things different? Would you act differently?
I try to look at people the way God wants us to look at them, and I don't want to be a dummy because there's a very thin line with forgiving someone for that type of situation and them being a dummy. But if in 15 years you were this amazing, trustworthy man and you had one low moment, I would not treat you different unless you repeated it, then I'm out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for you, the cup is shattered.
Yeah.
And I think most people, and I love that perspective from you, but I think most people fall into your category. And that's where I think trust for me gets a little swayed. Because if you do something consecutively for 15 years, and then you don't do it for one day, it shouldn't change your actions. For instance, if you at work, if I flip the scenario and do your job, right? You went to work for 15 years, your boss isn't going to fire you for you not showing up that day. He's going to think about it, and he's going to go to every possibility that something must have crazy happened for you not to show up. But when it comes to cheating or any perspective that affects us personally, we kind of shatter the glass. And I think trust should be the opposite factor. I think trust should be, this person did this for so long, I will be able to forget and forgive. But because it hurts us, and now we're thinking like, when you made me irrational. Like when you don't answer my phone call, or you're 30 minutes late from work, or traffic, right? Traffic happened. Now I don't believe you. off of one experience. So that's why, to me, trust is
So
where it's at.
for me, I'm big on nuances. Like I'm big on like the in-betweens, right? So, okay, so if you tell me that scenario and 15 years, the girl was amazing, and then she cheated this one day, I gotta know like why, how, like I gotta know the nuances
What?
behind it. Because here's why. Here's why. Right? If you tell me, yo, I cheated on you this one day, but it was a build-up because you wasn't doing what you were supposed to do as a man. You wasn't handling your business. You wasn't giving quality time, all the love languages stuff that y'all love, right? Like if I wasn't giving those things, then you cheated out of a lack. But if you telling me that you cheated with main man and he the love of your life, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And there might be some other consequences that come behind that. Right. So I'm big on nuances. And like one thing I don't accept from grown people is I don't know. If I ask you something and you tell me I don't know, that's gonna make me more furious than the actual activity.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest thing. So my trust happens like that. And then also my trust is case by case. Like it's not a one size fit all for everybody. Like I can trust you in some. I might trust you in some spaces. I might trust you in some spaces. I might trust you in some spaces. Or it just depends on what's going on. And you gotta be. Trust comes with reliability. Was you reliable in these circumstances that I know that you won't come through after that? So that's kind of how I see trust. But I have a question for y'all, real quick. How old is y'all children? How old is your children? What's their names? Did y'all say their
My
names?
son, his name is Kari.
Okay,
He's
Carl.
3.
Okay, Carl's 3.
And my daughter's name is Olivia, and she's 7.
Okay, so based on like, would you say like y'all good mothers?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was to interview the people around you, what would they say about your mothering skills?
And I'm a good mom.
That I'm phenomenal.
That you won't play? So you like overprotective?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about you?
That I'm phenomenal.
Okay, where did y'all parenting style come from? Like who did you model that from? Is it coming from a place of like
Trauma?
Or is it coming from a place of like, no, I kind of seen how this play out and I always knew I wanted to parent this way? How did that work out for you? Like where'd that come from?
I feel like maybe both. I feel like I'm overprotective, maybe because of things that I've been through, things that I've seen, things that I know, happen to other kids. That's why I'm so overprotective over my son. But the way I handle him, maybe the way I was raised. Yeah, I would say the way I was raised.
Okay. So you overprotective because your parents was overprotective.
My dad was very overprotective, yes.
Okay. And with him being overprotective, when you finally, I'm guessing strict,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you finally got let outside, what was your response?
I feel like, what was my response? I was a little wild.
He was wild?
I was a little wild. Yeah. I don't want to be strict on my son though. Like, I feel like he's just young now. So
When you say wow, at what period of time is that? Were you 16 and allowed out the house, 18 and allowed out the house, 21?
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're 18.
Like until I was 18, like I was locked up. Yeah.
Okay. And did you, before we get into you, did you have a conversation with your father and ask or say what that did to you from that period of time, from him locking you up to now you a young woman allotted all this freedom? Did you tell him like, have a real conversation? You didn't prepare me, essentially?
No, I feel like no, maybe we will, but no, we've never had like that conversation like, oh, I feel like this could have been or that could have been or this happened because we've never had that. No.
Does a part of you resent him for not preparing you for how men are?
No. I think that I don't know, maybe I'm so like I just got used to it. It's not like it ever really affected, like me, like I don't know how to answer that.
I'll say this.
I don't know how to answer that because I feel like I don't resent my dad. I think that he did what he knew, what he thought he should do.
His best.
Yeah, I think he did his best. I don't think I hold anything against him. I do feel like we may need to have a talk now that I'm older, just because I think that he feels like I acted a certain way because I resented him, or he feels, so I do feel like we would have a conversation, or we should have a conversation because of that. But I don't think I resent him at all. Mm-mm.
Okay. And then your father passed it, right?
Mhm.
All right. So now let me ask you this.
Yeah,
Do you feel as though your father passed you down Jesus, trauma, or both?
both.
Hmm. So the traumatic part, the fact that you didn't have the conversation with him yet, but you say that there's no resentment there. What is it then? What's the barrier?
I feel like the trauma he passed down was not, maybe it was like because I'm growing up in the church. It's not necessarily straight from my dad,
Mm,
but it's the church, like, church hurt and all of that. Like, I
mm,
feel like that's more of the trauma that, because we were so into the church. And I feel like a lot of things were overlooked. And, like,
mm,
I feel like that's more so of the trauma part of it. So I don't think that that must be why I don't have resentment towards him,
mm.
because it's not anything that, he intentionally or he directly, you know, passed down or traumatized me in any way.
Okay.
And you want to reframe your question for Zan so she can answer her portion?
Yeah. So your parenting style, right? Where did it come from? Did it come from a place of trauma? Did it come from a place of, I kind of studied this for a while, I was ready to be a mom. This is my ministry. This is what I was purposed to do. Like, where it come from?
I think at first I believe that my parenting style came from when I was younger. I would look at the adults because I grew up around adults and tell myself, when I'm a parent, I'm going to make sure I'm in my child's life. Because my dad, as I said, was at my great grandmother's house too, which means his parents weren't around. But as I gotten older, I also have a degree in education, so I studied it. But as I got older, I believe this is a gift from God. I think my parenting style is just something that God has given me. And I can say it humbly, as a teacher and as a parent, I do think I'm like a one of one parent. So,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. And now, a question for both, right? For both of y'all. Do you feel as though your father or your mother, whatever parent you want to select, do you think they were better parents to you or better grandparents to your kids?
My parents are better grandparents to my kids. My parents were also 15 and 16 when they had me. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So they was younger.
Yeah.
All right. What about you?
Yeah, I would say grandparents.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Being mothers, young mothers, um, me and Aunt have this conversation all the time. And I don't know if you heard his portion on the first episode when we were speaking, but the sense of community is gone. We used to have a time where we'd be able to speak to each other and give each other the hard truths, and Miss Johnson down the block would reinforce that. Um, what would be your takeaways for this generation of women coming up? What should they be focusing on? Um, should they be focused on being mothers, or should they be focused on exploring themselves and figuring out where they want to be? Like, what is your 2 cents on that?
I think that's a hard question to really answer, because I think society tells you to really find yourself and to keep figuring yourself out. And then next thing you know, so much time has wasted, or so much time has gone by. And as a woman, you're still figuring yourself out. I have different beliefs, and or I might have the same beliefs. And I think it's very important for a woman to take her singleness very seriously, which means figure your purpose out, but do it with haste, meaning you got to understand that time is going, because it is important, if you do want to be a mother, not to just let too much time go by. That's how I feel.
And when you say too much time go by, are we talking about like an age?
No, I'm just talking about just wasting it, thinking we waste, I believe, so much time by being self centered and thinking that we have to search for so much to validate ourselves or this or that, when we are truly interrelated. And if we can just focus on other people, or maybe focus on our higher power, which Jesus is mine, it'll make us finding our purpose faster, which means then you can be a mom or get into a relationship. But I truthfully believe that we need to enjoy singleness without trying to be in a relationship, trying to be a mom, because it just blurs lines. Unless you're lucky and you find someone in your youth to honor. But yeah.
Okay. Shout out to the honor.
What was the question again?
What is your direction that you would get? What direction would you point young women in to focus on themselves or focus on motherhood or combination of both? What do you think?
I would definitely say focus on yourself. Find your purpose, find out who you want to be. I don't recommend kids. I love my son to death, and I did have him when I was 27. So I mean, I'm an old mom, but I feel like I also could have waited. So I would say focus on yourself, focus on who you want to be, what you want to be. There's so much world to see and things to do, without, wanting to be a mom. If you want to be a mom, that is fine,
Mhm.
If you want to be a mom, I think you should be a mom. But, do it on your own time, make it your decision, definitely. Not because you see other people doing it or, you know, have a good reason
Absolutely.
because they're there forever.
Yeah.
Who is
You-
what is your perspective? What is your perspective on today's men? Like your dating outreach. Like, what does that look like?
Uh-uh.
What is your takeaways? What is
the
your
dating pool
yeah?
has piss in it.
I've heard that. And
Um, I think that the men are just, I think social media, it's just social media. I feel like there are good men out there. Um, it's just a lot of social media. I think they need to black out or all of our social media for a week at least. Something.
audience,
I just think it's
just
social
want the
media.
audience to know. Previously, I was told I'm a red flag because I don't have social media, but now social media is.
Need to be blacked out for a
But
week.
I have a different
No,
opinion
Social
that
on
is
media need
still
to
a
be
red
blacked
flag.
out.
Let's be clear. Just
But
for a
But my
week.
man is a
Just
permanent
for a
blackout.
week.
And this is
Yeah, that's
You
a
can't
red
even check his
flag.
mindset on
Yeah.
social media. Where are you?
Yeah. What are you
but
thinking?
No, I think men think they know more than they do in this day and age, meaning men, since I don't know how girls are going to feel, but men are like the leaders. Um, they think since they're the leaders and they're the head, that they know so much that they don't go to God anymore, and that they start grasping at straws and trying to figure out finances or try to figure out purpose or try to figure out career or try to figure out girl, and next thing you know it explodes and they're not happy with themselves. And then I don't want to get into it, but the issue is men have lost God and they're trying to figure out themselves by themselves. Then they find a girl and they can't, then they just can't, because they have to run in a circle again to figure out what's missing when it's God.
for
So yeah.
for the mindset that men have, right? Who's
Mhm.
at fault? Who's to blame for the mindset that men have currently? Today's piss pool. You call it a piss
I
pool.
think their moms.
No.
Okay.
Their moms are definitely to blame.
Oh.
I feel like um the moms of the 90s loved their sons too much. Like they crippled them. I just think I think that's what it is. It's the moms of the 90s.
So like that's hot. Oh wait.
I think it's men's
So
fault.
real quick.
Before you frame, let her frame, and then you frame.
Who? Okay,
Let
go ahead.
Liz frame, and then you frame.
Go ahead.
I think at this big age, it's a man's fault, because if we can build, if we can figure out how to make money on stream or build a podcast or figure out every single problem in our life, how is it everybody else's problem we can't figure out ourselves at 30 something, 20 something, 40 something years old?
Go ahead.
So let's go back to the mom piece,
Mhm.
right? So you said the moms they treat their sons like they king, right?
Mhm.
Like like they almost they partner in some type of way. What? But then you said with your son that you overprotective. So what's the difference there?
I feel like it what's the difference? I think that the difference is I don't think I'm always gonna be like that. I'm still push him to be a man. Like I tell him he's the man of the house, that he should do this, he should do that. But I think that as he gets older, I'm going to, like not treat him like he's a king, and he, that I should cater to him, and I think that he should be stepping up, like, taking out the trash. I make him take out the trash. I make him do little things. I make him open the door. It's just like little things, because he needs to know that you're a man. This is, your job. I also push him towards his dad, because, I think that a man has to raise a man.
Right.
He has his dad. His dad is a good dad.
Okay.
But, yeah, I just think that a lot of the men that I know still live with their moms. So that's what I mean when I'm saying
What are they?
in their 30s. And they're still like, yeah, I'm in my 30s. So yeah, they're still living with their mom, and their mom is still, they never had to step up and, do anything. Everything was done for them.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
Respect. Okay. Now, I have a question. I want y'all to think about this for a second. When the last time you s- when the last time you did not have to operate in masculine energy? Like, when the last time you could be a female and only a female? Like, take me back to that time. If it is a time. If it's not, talk about that. But if it is, be like, all right, it was this right here. Walk me through that. Last time you didn't have to operate in masculine and feminine energy.
I would say before I had my son. I was with his dad for 6 years before I had my son. So then life was great. He was paying for everything. I barely worked.
Mm.
It was nice.
Okay. So he switched once you had your kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said he's not doing anything for me anymore.
Right.
Did you guys have a prior conversation
Right.
saying that kids were not on the table?
I've always said I didn't want kids, but when my son came,
You totally changed.
no,
Oh,
I still didn't want kids. But it was late. It was too late, and his dad, wanted to be a dad, so that's why we had my son.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. What is that? Last time you was in your feminine energy, where you ain't had to take on masculine.
When you asked her that, I was thinking,
Mhm.
and I couldn't think of. I'm not saying I'm like the Hulk, but but I'm saying I don't know one time where I just was like, ah. So no, I'm fighting for that though.
Mm.
I'm literally fighting for it. I went to the gym, I lift, but I was like moisturizing myself and putting like smell goods. Like, even though I'm about to go lift, that's masculine. Let me make this a little feminine. So I'm fighting for spaces
Okay. Okay.
at this time. I don't have it though.
Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
So question: when the last time you was mentally happy? Walk me through what that looked like. Walk me through that time. Last time you was mentally happy.
I would say right now is probably the happiest that I've been mentally in a long time. I just think I'm at a place where, I'm kind of leveled out now. I don't feel like I'm a new mom anymore. He's 3, about to be 4. I feel like everything is kind of leveling out. So I'm like in a very great mental space
Okay.
right now.
And then because of that, are you thriving in other areas of your life?
Definitely.
Good.
Definitely. I notice, my relationships with my friends, with my family, is looking a lot different. Yeah, because I'm way happier now.
Okay. Good. What about you, Zan?
I was trying to think.
you in deep thought.
Because I want to be honest, but the only time that I think I was 100% mentally happy is when I was pregnant, because I think you get like this pregnancy brain and then like you're in your own world. So I don't think I was like focused on too much of like the world and what other people had going on.
Can you
Yeah.
walk us through, both of you, if you can, that journey of motherhood in the beginning? I know we usually talk about motherhood when the child is here and you're executing the duties as a mom, but I don't think I know personally for me and the guys that I'm around, we really get to know how women feel in the beginning stages, or like what you guys mentally go through, and the pressures that you guys face from a family perspective, friends perspective, life perspective. When you're walking in a supermarket and you have a stomach, how people are looking at you if someone's not around, or so just if you can give us little tidbits on what that journey's like in the beginning and what you're thinking about while you're going through it.
So like I said, I was with my son's dad then, so we did everything together. It was also COVID,
Mhm.
so we were masked up um everywhere. I really wasn't out that much. Um, yeah, I think that then it was blissful. Pregnancy was blissful. Like I had a
Mhm.
sweet pregnancy. Being a new mom, it was still COVID, so we were locked in the house basically for the first. I took I was off work for maybe like 2 months. Um, and then his dad took off too. His job actually gave him 6 weeks off too. So we were in the house. Pregnancy, like I have no complaints about my new motherhood stages. It was just when he got two and I was on my own, that's when everything, got hectic. But
Did you ever question your body at any point, like from in the beginning of the pregnancy or when the child was delivered? Was there any like questioning of like what you look like?
Mm.
Like, did you ever self doubt yourself? Was there hatred there? Was there any feeling?
um no, I don't want to sound like shallow or anything, but
Mhm.
I I'm in the gym. So I was in the gym right after I was pregnant. I didn't really go through, the whole he didn't really give me any stretch marks. That was my concern. If
Okay, so
you
that was
want
your
to,
concern the whole time.
the whole time, the
Okay,
entire
so what was
time.
you using? Like, what was you doing? Cocoa
Um,
butter, what?
Coconut oil.
Mm-hmm.
I bought like a bunch of jars and I would just coconut oil every day. That was a major concern for me, what I was going to look like because I knew, what I looked like before having him.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, I didn't really. Mm-mm.
Was there any point where you were kind of scared? Because you said you pretty much didn't want to have a kid, and he did. Was there a point even after, like, because you said y'all had went through a breakup or whatever?
Hmm.
Was there any point where you was like you felt like insecure and inadequate, not equipped enough to be a mother, whether that was emotionally, financially, spiritually, whatever that looked like?
Um, yeah, I would say when we first broke up, that was probably like the lowest point. I was literally, so we broke up because I walked into a female in my house. So after
Mm-mm.
that day, I left. I didn't go back. So I lived with my parents. Now, I told you I grew up with a lot of siblings. So
Mm-hmm.
two of my brothers live in Atlanta, but my mom took in four more girls when my grandma passed. So it was nine of us in the house. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming here with a new, he was not even a year. Yeah. Or maybe just a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, like that was probably the lowest part of being a new mom, feeling like I'm not equipped. Like, how am I going to do this? I didn't even want to be in this situation. And now, I feel like I, I'm, I'm put in a position where I have to choose myself. Like I'm coming in, there's a girl here. I'm looking at her. Like, you can't really do much with that. So I was home for what, almost 2 years. And it was a long 2 years. And it was a sad 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was really, really low. And I didn't feel like I could be a mom at that point.
See, those are the stories that we like to get to because those are the things that's unseen and unheard.
Hmm.
So, like, even if, like, if for us not having kids and from a man perspective, was you going through postpartum? Was there any suicide ideologies that you had, like ideations? Like, was that how low did you actually go? So, where as men is watching this, they can understand the type of pain that's inflicted on mothers, new
Hmm.
mothers, and what that actually look like.
So I'm not sure if it was postpartum because, like I said, everything I found out and like everything that I was going through, I had to move back home. I'm stuck there. Um, I couldn't really work because I was working from home then. I couldn't really work because I have a child that doesn't understand that, I'm on the phones, I have to work. So I don't know if it was really postpartum, but I was very, very sad.
Mm,
I just think I was, depressed.
mm,
I was just crying a lot, just depressed because I couldn't believe that I felt like this could have been avoided.
mm.
So,
Okay,
you know,
gotcha. Okay. All right, Zan. Same thing.
Can you
Uh,
reiterate it?
yeah. So we talked about the parenting style, where you got your parenting style from.
Hmm.
But now we want to talk about like, okay, the kid is here. Now, what did that look like? What did that look like for you? Was there any insecurities? Did you feel inadequate? Did you feel
Pre
that
and post.
you wasn't equipped? Yeah,
Yeah.
just walk us through what that looked like.
When I first got pregnant, I was with my child's father was just my was just my boo, I guess. We ended up getting into a relationship. So when I got pregnant, I was very embarrassed by myself because I didn't understand how I was gonna present this to my father.
How old are you at this time?
I was 24.
Okay.
Yeah. So even though my dad had me at 15, I was 24, but I was still very embarrassed because I thought I was supposed to be married or at least them know who he was. But
Oh, they didn't know him.
they knew I was talking to someone, but no, I never brought him to the house.
Mm,
It was very on and off with my baby dad, with Olivia's father. Um, and yeah, I was embarrassed. I actually quit the school I was working at. I was working at a Christian school, and I felt like I couldn't be a good example to the children, so I left my job and I started working at a regular school.
Mhm.
Not that it matters but anyways, then I ended up getting into a happy space once I told everyone. And
what was their
after
reaction?
my dad, actually, when I first told him, I started crying on the phone, and the first thing that he said was, you were 11 years, what did he say? You were 10 years, basically 10 years older than I was and your mom, so it's okay. And
Mm,
you're a smart young lady, so you'll be fine. And that made me feel better. After I had Olivia, you guys were asking about how we felt about our bodies.
Mhm.
yeah.
Um, I'm pretty petite, so I was very happy with the weight that I kept. And I do go to the gym too, so I didn't have, not to be shallow either, I didn't have an insecurity. So I'm hoping when I have my next child, because I do want to have a next child, it'll be the same experience. If
Okay.
not, okay.
Okay. Did you go through postpartum? Any anxiety? Any type of depression? Anything happened during that time?
No, I was just tired. I feel like, and it could be different. I think sometimes they don't understand as what is needed, as much like how much is needed, how much help is needed, because it looks like the mom has it figured out. She's breastfeeding, she has this, she has that, but we're literally on our like last leg of energy.
Mm,
So, and we're not going to say something because we're in like in constant, the baby needs this, the baby needs that.
mm,
So, and if we do say something, it's not going to be nice. But
gotcha.
What did so this is bringing back because you obviously had a baby, so males were present. Um, what is it that you were looking for in a relationship when you were younger versus what are you looking for now? And why has it changed, if there's any changes?
I think when I was younger, I was looking for someone to like choose me, if that makes sense. Because growing up in my household, even though it was nice, my dad moved out with my stepmom. I was like left with my great grandmom, which she was amazing. My mom wasn't there. Everybody eventually moved out. And then she passed away when I was 10. And then my dad and my stepmom moved into her house. So I think young, I started like looking for someone to be like, that's my girl, or like, choose me. I really think that's how I was dating, because it would be desperation in the sense of, yes, they would like be proud to have me and stuff, but I ran into cheaters, or I ran into like men that weren't the kindest, but I would like give them multiple chances because I just wanted them to choose me and figure out I was worth not acting like that. I think most recently I learned that I'm amazing. So I don't have to tolerate none of that. So yeah, I'm looking for someone that complements this. Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Okay.
That's a good answer. I think that, what was the question again?
When you were younger, what were you looking for in a relationship? And now that you're older, what are there any significant changes that you've noticed that you weren't looking for when you were younger?
I think that when I was younger, I was looking for just someone, I was more into how you looked or, not really, or what you could do for me. I think when I was younger, that's how I ended up with my son's dad because he looked good and he would just do whatever I wanted. Now, because of all that I've been through, I think that I'm looking for someone that loves God, first of all. I think that I'm looking for someone who is going to be a provider, yes, um, but more mentally, like, what can you do for me? Can you, like pour into me? How can you pour into me? Mentally, not just are we going to go out or are we going to travel or are you going to buy me this?
All right. And then for both of you, because you guys are mothers, what aspects of men do you need to see in order? Because I'm assuming that you guys realize that um, you you can't be as frivolous with dating as as someone that's not in your position. So it's like I'm bringing another life into the fold here, and I gotta make sure that this my child is safe. What does safety look like in bringing somebody in? What
That's a
are
good
some
question.
characteristics you need to see from a man, or he has to possess in order for you to be willing to engage with him?
That is a good question.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I haven't met anybody or been there yet. I feel like I am more picky now that I have my son, knowing that, this man, the man I introduced him to, I want to be around, forever. I think that he would just have to, well, first off, willing to love me and my son. Um, I think he has to want to be a family man, want to get married, um, want to be an example, and someone that my son can look up to. Um, yeah.
I have a list. No.
What's your list?
My number one is he cannot be a pervert. Number one, number
You have a
one,
look now,
daughter.
because
damn.
that's a real thing. So
That
Yes.
real quick, would y'all do a criminal background check?
I never thought about that, but now
I've
I
never
am
thought
since you're
about that.
mentioning it.
Yeah,
Like, cause how would you know?
right.
You know, you
Yeah.
could tell who's a
I
pervert.
feel like if I'm thinking
you
something,
know.
you gotta go. Because why did I think
Yes.
that?
Mm.
I didn't put
Mhm.
that in my own brain. Like, I did
Yes.
not just think that
What
out of
would be the
nowhere.
signs?
Why would I think that?
But can you give us some signs that you think would alert you to somebody? Like, is it he's too loving? Is he too, like, he always has them in the closed environment? Like, what in your head are you thinking that's okay? That's odd.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's gonna sound crazy, but discernment is real. Like you can tell someone's perverted. Now I'm giving up my spidey senses. No, based off their likes a little bit, have conversations with them. You can see the little. Okay, I see what you get into, and it's not getting over here. But it's I think conversations and sometimes the eyes. But that's like spiritual stuff.
The eyes.
You can see like if you really talk to someone or a man, you can see like his eye gauge. You can see like what's really being fed in his eyes, what he's watching. You can really tell. But that's another conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I got
Mhm.
it. So now, quick question. Let's say y'all do meet stepdaddy, right? Y'all meet stepdad, right? Would
Mhm.
you, because both of y'all baby fathers is active,
Yeah.
how would you feel if he came to you and said, "Hey, I want to take on the title of dad"? Like, what does that look like? How would you play that?
He cannot,
So no. So your daughter will call the man by his name.
Mr. Whatever, out of respect, because my daughter's dad really loves her and spends adequate time and his money and his heart on her. And if my child's father met a girl and she was amazing, Olivia's not calling her mom, even if she's amazing. Let's have respect.
Okay, respect. What about you?
I mean, I was raised by my stepmom. I call her mom. I don't feel like I would. So my son is 3.
Yeah,
If I
that's
meet a
different.
man by the time he's 5, I feel like, my son could call him dad. I don't think that would bother me.
Mm,
Um, even if even if his dad met a nice young lady and they were serious, I don't think that would bother me
mm.
for
That's so
my son
mature.
to,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
From a mental standpoint, do you look uh from a third eye perspective, so take yourself out the situation and look at it from the opposition's point of view? How do you look at single mothers? Do you think single mothers are just as equal as women without children versus the opposite way? So do you guys feel as though single mothers are on the same footing as women that don't have kids, or how do you look at that?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the woman. A single mom is a liability. I think so. Like a man with more than one baby mom or a baby mom, it's a liability, and it's a humble space to know that you do come with more, and you do come with baggage, and you do come with more responsibility. Where if you're dating someone without kids, it's a lot to consider. But in retrospect, you can have a woman or a child, a woman or a man without kids, not be as spiritually, mentally, or purposefully like filled, where it's no comparison. So it's
I
situational.
I had this conversation before, with a group of men, and it was like the room was split. So you had men in there saying, "I purposely go after the single mothers." Why you looking at me like that?
Because
Because I
we're
want to
more
know why.
stable. We
Because
provide stability.
more stable.
Okay.
You understand your direction in life because you have to, right? You a little bit more nurturing. You gotta. I hope you cook, right, for your kids. You ain't
Hmm.
just throwing in fish sticks and mac and cheese, right? So,
Sometimes.
so, so
That's what they like.
so this is what I mean. And a single mother understands time management, right?
Yeah.
Where on the other end, the other guys was saying like, it is a liability because why her baby dad ain't stick around? If she had so much discernment, why she didn't discern that bad relationship, right? These are the things that was being said in the room. Oh, so from that perspective, let's transition for a second. I want to ask you a question. Right now, where you are, and at your big age, at your maturity, right? If you was to rank these 5 things in a man, rank them.